There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
With more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes, Welton Rayum is committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. At Welton Rayum, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Welton Rayum can help.
Welcome to Caneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
We are live. It is the Squared Circle Digest. It is the AEW Dynamite reaction show. Dynamite just goes off the air. Good little promo between Swerve and Bryan Danielson after the street fight or the anything goes match, whatever they're calling it. Overall, I thought it was a good AEW Dynamite. I mean, it started off well with MJF taking on Kyle Fletcher. And again, real quick before I jump into everything there, appreciate you following along on X, Twitch. If you're on the YouTube channel, appreciate it. Please, if you're on X or on Twitch, jump over to the YouTube side, hit the subscribe button. Help me out, support Squared Circle Digest. And don't forget, every Tuesday, live, me and Frankie Fresco on the Stanley Media House Network YouTube channel and the Frankie Fresco YouTube channel, talking all the world of pro wrestling. But tonight, it is the AEW Dynamite reaction show. It started off with, I guess he's Captain America now, or Mr. America. I don't know what they're calling him, but MJF took on Kyle Fletcher to start the show. And it was a very, very good match, actually. I thought Kyle Fletcher showed well, and it actually showed his growth. I remember he came in as Aussie Open. His partner was injured. Then he kind of fell in flux a little bit where he was going to go. And then ultimately he ended up being a singles competitor, joined in with Don Callis. And now you got to see a very good showing from Kyle Fletcher. The interesting things that were of note were that, again, somebody put the boxes in front of Will Ospreay, the door to where he couldn't get out. And then also Kyle Fletcher, Callis throws in the screwdriver. He gets a screwdriver and he can't pull the strings. Just like Ospreay has a problem, hitting the Tiger Driver, and he can't hit him with the screwdriver. And then, of course, Mr. Opportunistic takes advantage of it, MJF, and gets the victory. Then the other question I got about this is MJF gets the victory, hits him with the ring. Now, before the 3 count, Ospreay gets out of the room, and apparently the backstage area of this building is huge because it felt like it took Will Ospreay forever to get out there. So I'm not sure if there was a mistiming on when they showed, if that was supposed to be when Will Ospreay got out of the room, but from that time to when he got to the ring, it was a lot of time. And Don Callis was sure to say right as they were about to go to commercial break, where were you for him? And then it went to break. As soon as he said those words, where were you for him? It went to break. Kyle Fletcher was busted open from the Dynamite Diamond Ring. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes as far as the Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay dynamic. And then also Don Callis involved in this. Where does this whole thing lay out? Because to me, the way Kyle Fletcher hesitated tells me it may be a babyface turn for him, or he's going to see it the other way and be like, you weren't there for me. So now, does he end up costing Will Ospreay? Could you imagine Will Ospreay losing the match at AEW All In because of Kyle Fletcher? It'll be interesting to see that. That's an interesting dynamic that they will have at their, how they want to play with that there. The other thing that I found interesting in that was this was another eliminator match. And again, I can't recollect how many eliminator matches there have been, but when I try to recall, I believe the Acclaimed has been the only person that has won an eliminator match other than, I take that back, Chris Statlander won the CMLL eliminator match the following week. So maybe there's a role going now. So you had the Acclaimed win the eliminator match. Then Chris Statlander won the CML eliminator match. And tonight, Kyle Fletcher comes up short. So now all is right in the AEW world. An eliminator match is the challenger loses, the champion MJF keeps rolling on. It'll be very interesting to see, again, the dynamic of Ospreay, MJF, and then now you start adding in the Kyle Fletcher part now. Again, as Kyle says, as they go to break, where were you for him? Does that turn into anything? It's definitely there to be a part of this if they want to use it. Then Mariah May took on Viva Van, and I mean, it was just Mariah May greatest hits on Viva Van. Happy she got some TV time. It was a kiss of death into Mayday, into Storm Zero. She gets the easy victory. Then the greatness of Toni Storm comes out because Toni Storm, Mariah May is handed a gift, a big picture, looks like a little poster board type picture. She opens it up and it's a picture of her. And then, the camera catches the back. You couldn't really tell exactly what it says, but you knew there was writing on the back of it. The crowd starts getting hyped up because she's looking at the picture and she's showing the crowd exactly what it says on the back. And it says, "Die, Mariah, die." And as soon as she sees that, Toni Storm is all over her. And I thought that was pretty good. The only thing I didn't like was, so Toni Storm gets taken down. Mariah May goes and gets the shoe. She's going to hit Toni Storm. Toni Storm grabs her arm, reverses it. Now Toni Storm's got the shoe, and then Aubrey Edwards comes in to stop her from using the shoe. Where was Aubrey when it was on the other way? And then, of course, more security and more referees came down, but Toni Storm and Mariah May kept breaking away from each other and kept fighting. And this was not just the only fight of the night outside for security and the referees, but I thought this was very good. It's heading to the thing that the one thing that I hope, and this goes, I say the same thing, when we talk about WWE as well, is like when you have these matches and the hostility has gotten to where they can't even be around each other. Like the match at All In needs to start right away. Like if Mariah May is being introduced first, Toni Storm should just jump her. I know Toni Storm's got the great entrance and all that, but this match is much more than just Toni Storm's entrance. You can do she wins the title, she retains, and then you can do, the black and white and all that afterwards. But I feel like right now it is at the point to where whoever gets introduced first, the other one should be on. They still got 18 days. So that's what, 3 more shows, I believe, or no, maybe 2 more shows. And then it'll be that Sunday before the third one. But you've got 2 more weeks to build on this. And you're already having to hold them apart. And again, when you look at everything, Toni Storm or Mariah May says, she basically played, Toni Storm to get where she is. And now you see it playing out. And it's one of those things to where like this has got to just explode from the beginning. The Trapio is in. Hit the like button. Everyone, please do. Nice hat. Thank you, sir. Little old school Dolphins. And then after that match, they did I believe, it was the Jack Perry. Everything has a price depending on what you want to sacrifice. Now, here's the question I have for everybody. Now, if you're on the chat, if you're on X, you can answer the chat as well. Did anybody else get the Taco Bell commercial in between Jack Perry talking? I don't know if that was what was supposed to happen. It was Jack Perry says, everything has a price, just depends on what you want to sacrifice. Then it went to a Taco Bell commercial. Then it comes back and he's still talking about other things. And then he destroys the TVs. It looks like a Wyatt 6 episode for a minute. The TV's flashing on and off. You're seeing a goat. And then all of a sudden it says scapegoat. I just don't know if the Taco Bell commercial was supposed to be there or not. If it was, great product placement because nobody expected it. But then my other question would have been, why didn't they just play it on one of the screens that was already there? You could have had him talking and you're seeing the Taco Bell commercial playing on the TVs they had. But I digress. You had Shibata take on Brian Keith. And it was an okay match. I mean, it was all really just a setup for Keith taps out. Big Bill and, of course, Jericho hit the ring. They start beating down on Shibata. 3-on-1. The music hits. Hook comes out. Big Bill goes over the top rope. Jericho powders. And it ends with Shibata and Hook standing shoulder to shoulder. Hook goes around, picks up the FTW title, holds it up, crowd cheering, and that is the way it ended. So I think when you look at this match, I believe you're going to get this match at All In. I believe you're going to get Hook versus Jericho for the FTW championship once again. Last year, remember, it was Hook against Jack Perry. That is the match that started everything, right? Because he hits on the glass. He's like, hey, look, real glass, cry me a river. That was the whole CM Punk incident. So once again, Hook, a year later, is going to be battling for the FTW title. I believe it All In. I believe this match will be announced soon. Hook against Chris Jericho. And I'm wondering if Taz actually maybe seconds Hook to the ring or something. Or maybe he ends up becoming an enforcer or something, because it's been weird to where Jericho has the EVPs pulling Hook or pulling Taz from the commentary duties whenever he's around that area. And I get it. He's Hook's dad. He threw the flame in his face and everything else like that. But I feel like there's going to be more to this story with Taz at some point. We'll see how that plays out. But I believe that'll be another match that will get added to All In. No Doubt is in the house. He says SCD. Yes, it is the Squared Circle Digest. You also had Orange Cassidy in the back, apparently. And again, kudos to everybody that was able to make it. I know some people had to drive large amounts of time and many miles to get to the show. There's a lot of issues with traveling, of course, because the storm going through that area and things like that. So kudos to AEW for even being able to really, not a lot got changed. I believe, honestly, the only thing that got changed, and I don't even know that this was even really advertised, was the Orange Cassidy, the conglomeration match, which would have been Kyle O'Reilly, and I believe it was going to be either Ishii or Mark Briscoe. But again, with the travel issues, they weren't able to be there. And then lo and behold, it kind of works out because what happens? FTR in North Carolina. It gets no better than that. The top guys, they're there to help out Orange Cassidy, and they end up winning the match and basically set up for the Acclaimed to come out, and you had another battle between the Acclaimed and FTR. At some point, I don't know how this is going to work out. Again, remember, the Acclaimed win the Eliminator match against the Young Bucks. They have not gotten their title shot yet. I thought the title shot was going to be at All In. Now I'm wondering, and again, at some point, I believe they're either going to do a number one contender, but then again, the Acclaimed are already the number one contenders because they won the Eliminator match. That's where I don't understand where they're going with this feud unless they're going to make it a triple threat for the tag team titles. And if they do that, then I have another gripe because there was another match that was mentioned later on, and I'll dive into that one now. It was Christian Cage and the Patriarchy Trios division. House of Black will take on the Bang Bang Gang this Saturday on Collision. Christian Cage will be the guest referee. And, of course, he said the winners will be the number one contenders for the Trios Championship. He's refereeing. So I believe ultimately this is going to set up for a triple threat match there. How many triple threat matches are you going to have on All In? Again, looking at how some things are playing out. Now, ultimately, maybe Acclaim beat FTR the week before All In, and they are the number one contenders, but they have already earned the number one shot by beating the Young Bucks. So I'm trying to figure out where they're going with the FTR angle of this all. But again, it's a storyline keeping it going. The Young Bucks haven't been on TV. They were out this week. I mean, well, they were on TV. They did the Blood and Guts match, but since that match, they have not been on. And the Acclaimed and FTR are kind of keeping that heavyweight title picture going right now. So we'll see, because then also, like I said, you got another triple threat if you do that with the trios titles, unless Christian Cage is going to ref it right down the middle. Right down the middle. We'll Bill Alfonso for you. Let's see. No Doubt is in, or sorry, Terry's in. What's up? No Doubt talking to Nick there. Tag team triple threat matches are kind of lame, too crowded. I agree, but again, the one thing that we all know happens with the AEW cards is they like to stack them with all the talent. And I don't understand where it's going, and that's the only route that I can kind of see it taking, unless FTR is just there to be the placeholders until the Young Bucks come back, which might be. And then you have the Acclaimed against the Young Bucks at All In, again. And I don't know. I think with the Young Bucks and FTR in the match, I think they have enough, and even the Acclaim now, they're not, rookies in there anymore. I think if you have a good enough groups of veterans in there, you can make the tag team triple threat work. Now, the triple threat trios match, that's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Swerve had a sit down with JR. I love Jim Ross and I love everything there. I just didn't feel that promo. I felt the promo at the end that Swerve did brought more to their match than the sit down interview with JR. And again, I love everything about JR and everything there, but I just didn't feel like it brought anything more to the match. It was just, a conversation that took up time. As far as advancing the dynamic of the match, I don't think it did that. Also, you had Camille, a 2-on-1 handicap match. Mercedes Moné, of course. DMD comes up on the thing. Her suspension has been lifted now by Tony Khan. Tony Schiavone told us, and then they went to a recorded clip, and she said, AEW is my home. When the going gets tough, you take your ball and you go home, referring to the incident when she walked out on WWE. And then she says that she will get her hands on her in 7 days. Trust her. She is a doctor. And then she did DMD. Very interested to see how this plays out because I love DMD. I love the fact that Camille is now on a bigger stage. And I'm very interested to see the Mercedes Moné. And now that she has the quote unquote, freedom to do what she wants to do, we'll see where it goes. I mean, she's doing the CEO, but it hasn't been a whole lot else there. So we'll see where it goes. Very interested to see those three get in the ring. Hangman Adam Page had a interview also with Renee Paquette, and it was said in that interview where he just said, basically, my focus is on one man and one man only. And we all know that man is Swerve Strickland. So now it's going to be interesting because there's a lot going on right now. You've got the whole main event that you have with Bryan Danielson and Swerve at All In. And it's going to be interesting to see, does Hangman, does he figure into this? Bryan Danielson had a street fight, basically anything goes fight with Jeff Jarrett tonight, Ricky Steamboat on commentary. It was a good fight. I felt, and I'm only going to say this from the Bryan Danielson's viewpoint, to me, was that he took a lot of punishment. Like, you're going into a battle with Swerve, and Swerve kind of alluded to this. He's like, I know, you're going to be sore tomorrow. Your legs are going to be sore, and that was done to you by Jeff Jarrett. Imagine what I'm going to do to you at All In. And I felt like that's kind of how I saw with that fight. It was a great match, great fight. It was, the chair shot at the end, bust Jarrett's chin open. So it got over well, but I felt like Jarrett had like 80% of that match. So I just feel like it's like Bryan Danielson hanging on to get to All In to fight for a title that he's put his career on the line for. Like to me in this match, I felt more like Jarrett attacks him at the beginning, beats him up, and that's all fine. I think yes, Jarrett attacks him from behind, surprises him. Remember, he said you got to be your eyes open and be ready for anything. Well, Danielson wasn't ready for that. Okay, boom. But now, as the match goes on, to me, Bryan Danielson, if you're heading that way to be the number one contender, at some point, to me, he should have took over the match. And then kind of made Jeff Jarrett suffer. And send a message to Swerve Strickland. I'm going to be ready for you at All In. Don't you worry. I'll be ready for you. And I don't feel like that was sent at all in this match. And then the promo at the end, Swerve comes out and he basically says, you know what? I need a warm-up match too. I'm going to take on Willer Yuta next week. I want you to sit ringside. And he said, I'm going to show you why I'm the most dangerous man in AEW. Now, again, I get it. Bryan Danielson, the underdog. I understand all that. But I feel like just too much went to Jarret in that match. Too much to me went to Jarret in that match to set up for this. Next week, we'll get probably Swerve, making Yuta suffer. Yuta getting a good little bit of, comeback and everything else, but then ultimately Swerve Strickland's going to punish him right in front of Bryan Danielson. And then the following week, leading up to All In, you'll probably get the face-to-face between the two. So it'd be very interesting. And I like a lot of the build right now. I do. There's some questions that will intrigue me to see how they're answered at All In. The Mariah May, Tony Storm, what happens there? You've got, of course, Swerve and Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson's already said he's not going to sign another long-term, full-time contract. His career is winding down. If he doesn't win this match, he's done. He won't wrestle anymore. Does Hangman Adam Page play into any of this? You've got MJF, Will Ospreay. You've got Daniel Garcia still out there, I believe, somewhere. And then also on the other side now, you've added Kyle Fletcher possibly figuring into this with Don Callis. You've got the Acclaimed feuding now with FTR. They should be getting a title shot, I believe, at All In. Where does that lead? And then even on Saturday, as I said, on Collision, you got the Patriarchy. Christian Cage will be refereeing the Bang Bang Gang versus House of Black trios match to find out who the number one contenders are there. And I think that's going to end up being both teams being jumped by, by the Patriarchy, and you're going to lead to probably a triple threat there. So there's a lot of stories actually going on right now in AEW. That's very interesting to see where they go. And they also did announce tonight too that it will be a casino battle royal or casino gauntlet match or something at All In. I believe it's a casino gauntlet match, they said. So that will be also at All In. That's another one of those matches where they're going to have like 5 or 6 guys and they'll go through it and see how it goes. I can't see Danielson winning, but it's also hard to believe he loses on his way out the door. What's interesting to me, no doubt, where I honestly believe Hangman Adam Page might end up being the X factor in this. So then Bryan Danielson, maybe wins the title because of Hangman Page. And then it'll be Hangman Page and Swerve. But then the question would be, Bryan Danielson, does he go out? Does he show up at the next Dynamite and make the announcement that he's done? He's going out on top. The title is going to be held up. Do they do a tournament? Or do they turn it into where he has one more match and then loses it? But then again, as you said, it's hard to believe he loses on his way out the door. At some point, it's going to happen unless he wins the title. And then the next week on Dynamite, he's like, hey, Tony Khan, thank you very much. Swerve, Hangman Page, appreciate everything you did for me. Everybody here in AEW, I'm out the door. Here's your title. Set up another tournament. AEW is good at the tournaments, so you can't doubt it. But watching it tonight, I honestly felt like Hangman Adam Page is going to do everything he can. As he said, I want to take everything from Swerve. Well, he didn't mention him, but everybody understands, at least I believe everybody understands what it's going to be. You know what? Now that I think about it too, is Bryan Danielson's the one that beat Hangman Page to where he could not get his title shot at All In. All he said was on the thing is, there's one man that I'm watching, one man only, and I want to make sure I take everything he's got. Is this Swerve? Could it be Bryan Danielson? I believe at some point, Hangman Adam Page becomes the X factor in that main event. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see where it goes. Let's see. Another tournament, that has to be it. It is AEW. Tony Khan loves the tournaments, man. He really does. And to be honest, what I would do is set up like 2 or 3 Dynamites in a row leading up to, I think the Grand Slam is, when is Grand Slam? I got to check that. But they have the AEW Grand Slam, which is at Arthur Ashe Stadium. I would set up tournament matches up to that. If that is the route they go, to where your title is won as the main event at Arthur Ashe Stadium at the AEW Grand Slam. If that is the route they go. But All In, there's a lot of things happening right now with All In. So it's shaping up to be a pretty damn good card, honestly. Honestly, I'm not going to sit here and you know, look, there's a lot of little stories within the story as you sit there and you watch it. Now, again, not everybody's got the story. There were some travel issues tonight, so they had to work through some things, but they made it work with what they had. The FTR Acclaim thing kept going, you know, so I like what they did tonight. I thought it was a solid show, and I thought it advanced storylines very well leading up to All In. And I think everybody that's watched on X, if you're watching on Twitch, appreciate you very much. Don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms at Sean. That's SEAN _Stanley 11. And then also, please, if you're watching on X or on Twitch, if you get an opportunity, please jump over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button for me. Help me out. And if you like what you're hearing, hit a retweet, hit a share. I appreciate each and every one of you spending your Wednesday night with me tonight. And let's see here. Hold on a minute. Something just came. Terry said, Hangman interfere and causes Swerve to keep title by DQ. What do you think, Sean? I mean, he could, but to me, that would be a terrible way, because the DQ means that Bryan Danielson doesn't win the title. And he said, if I don't win the title, I'll never wrestle again. He didn't say if I lose by disqualification or if you pin me. He said, if I don't basically, if I don't win the title at All In, I will never wrestle again. So, and again, depending on what his words meant, was his words aimed at Swerve or his words aimed at Bryan Danielson? To me, I believe they're aimed at Swerve. But again, thinking about it again, Bryan Danielson cost him the opportunity to be a part of the main event at All In. Does that play in? Does he end up taking out Bryan Danielson and then he ends up getting Swerve later? But that would be, to me, I would rather, if Bryan Danielson is going to lose this match, Swerve should do it clean. There should not be a lot of interference or anything there. That's the way Bryan Danielson should go out. If that's what he's going to do, if that's the way they've figured out how this is going to end, to me, the best way to do it would be for Swerve to pin Bryan Danielson clean and to elevate Swerve by beating Bryan Danielson clean. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. August 19th, Raw. Is the 19th Raw here? Is that where it is, Nick DeTrabio? Is it already August 19th early? Is that the Raw here? So I don't know. If it is, we might all get together on that Monday night and see how that goes. I'll have to do a live reaction show live from the Raw. But also, don't forget, locally here, if you're in the Miami area, Unbranded Brewery, CCW has a show August 31st. There is a WWE pay-per-view in the afternoon, a CCW Coastal Championship Wrestling show that night. It'll be the last one at Unbranded Brewery. And go out there, show them support. We are looking to be out there as well. So come by, say hi. And for everybody that's watching worldwide and through the interwebs, I appreciate each and every one of you as always. Don't forget, hit that share button, hit the subscribe button. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. And also, don't forget, become part of the community. We have debates. I'm trying to build this community from basically right now where we're at. I appreciate all the input. If you can, get in there, jump on the community page, interact, answer the question, thumbs up, tell me to F off, whatever it is you want to do. Here, we're building up this community from the ground up. In the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the sun, shine, state.